Well, hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and it is Friday noon, so that means it is time for us to talk about coping with feelings. And today I'm going to also talk a little bit about the difference between feelings and emotions, because I think sometimes we get a little confused at which is which, and hopefully I can give you some pointers as to how you can easily check which is, do I have an emotion going here or do I have a feeling? So a very warm welcome to you all. If you're joining in for the first time, DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together 3 times a week, twice on a Friday lunchtime, this broadcast where we talk about coping with feelings. We do another one Friday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific, which is coping with life. Don't know if any of you need any help with that. And then the last one each week is the Sunday afternoon, 3:30 Pacific time, where we talk about coping with stress. And really that one is about how do we just calm down and get ready for the upcoming week. Hi to Jody and hi to Sandy and anybody else who's watching, because I see we got quite a few people ghosting at the moment. And I always welcome people to do that. And quite a few of my viewers, what they do is they put the broadcast on and then go and do something. They like to multitask. In other words, they're listening to what I'm talking about, but what they're doing is actually using the time to tidy up or do whatever. And I love that. To me, that's a great compliment to me. Anyway, so what I'm looking at today is, let us talk a little bit more about what makes you glad, mad, or sad, and whether you've had a week with those sort of emotions going on. And what I really appreciate is the fact that the regular viewers will come in and talk about the things that have made them mad, glad, or sad type. And in doing that, we're able to sort of deconstruct it a little bit so people can understand how they got out of that. And, in a lot of cases, they will actually talk about what they did. I was feeling like this, but this is what I did, and therefore I could get on with my life. One of the main aims of DearMamaSal is to help you get out of that hamster wheel of emotion where you're just, going on and on and on, and that you can't get on with your life because you're so sucked into the emotion that you cannot get outside it. And the other thing I'm going to talk a bit about today is the voice in your head. And some of you are believers and some of you not necessarily so. So just forgive me while I use this analogy, but I always call the voice in my head that's trying to stop me from doing things that I know I need to do. For example, exercise. And, I can hear this voice saying, yeah, but you don't have to do it right now. And I'm going, yes, I do. I call that voice the devil. Actually, I call her Gertrude a lot because I found if I talk back to the voice, it shuts it down quite a bit. So if I hear that, no, you don't really, it's not the end of the world if you don't exercise today. And I go, yeah, actually, it's not the end of the world, but it's really important to me. So I'd like you to be quiet now. Do any of you relate to that? Where that voice is going on. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that today, and hopefully it gives some of you some more pointers. I am very grateful to the viewers who write and tell me things that have been happening to them so that I can use those experiences to demonstrate different points that we want to make. So that's a really exciting thing for me. And I particularly wanted to thank Bernice today because she gave me a wonderful example of not being perfect, and then what happened to her, and then how she recovered from that, which I think is a great lesson for us all. So first of all, let me make sure that we understand that your life, whether you choose to be aware of it or not, and this is the trick, it's full of achievements every week. It's full of ups and downs, but most of us remember the downs. I don't know why that is, but, we forget to do that. So one of the challenges that I ask my viewers to do each week is to keep a running list of the ups and the downs. All right. So this is where I got scared. This is where I got mad. This is where I got glad, and just keep a list so that you're aware. And if you get more aware of those feelings, then you will find that you'll get to be happier. Jody is saying, by the way, for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin and does a wonderful job of supporting me all the time. And I thank you for that, Jody. Regardless of, she has a lot of health issues going on. She has a lot of stress going on at the moment, but she always finds time to help me. And to me, with tears in my eyes, that is pretty amazing. And I am so appreciative for it. All right. Jody's saying, I do relate to that voice, the one in the head. I say it may not be the end of the world, but it's one more day of stalling me towards my goal, and I'm not enforcing a healthy habit. Yes, and that's the whole thing, isn't it? The voice, I think what happens, Jody, is that we all have heard the voices all our lives, but we let the voices be our reason. Hi, Kimmy, I'm good to see you. We let the voices give us the excuse we wanted. No, I don't really have to do it. And if you like, that's what I call the excuse voice. The devil is the excuse voice. I don't have time. Well, you would if you really wanted to do it, and those sort of things. So as we go on, I want to just make sure, because I do this every week, that I describe what coping actually means. Coping means that we invest our own conscious effort to solve personal and interpersonal problems in order to try and master, minimize, and tolerate stress and conflict. So do you understand that that is a conscious effort to talk back to the voice in your head that's saying, you don't need to do any exercise today. Look, it happened to me yesterday. I had an appointment that I was meant to have in the morning, so I didn't do my exercise in my usual routine because I was going to be running late if I did. And, once I was dressed and everything, it was like the wrong clothes to be exercising in, and it was too much trouble to change my clothes. And, all those things started to come up for me. And I went, you're not eating dinner until you've done your exercise. End of story. That's what I said to myself. You're not going to have, and by the way, it was steak. You're not having dinner until you've done your exercise. And I'm going to talk about why that thinking has helped me so much and how it's done it. So have any of you had any accomplishments this week in terms of a step towards Christmas? Because whether we like it or not, Christmas is looming very fast and furious. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about my sads around Christmas, because quite honestly, I have made the decision that I'm not going to go anywhere for Christmas. I'm going to stay in lockdown now. And until the curve, we're still on an upward trajectory. It's amazing, actually. I have to, for those of you who don't know, I am in Vancouver, well, close to, and in Canada. And it is amazing how the second largest country in the world, touch wood, has had so few, really so few deaths. And we have managed to control the epidemic, I think, remarkably well. That doesn't mean we haven't lost lives, because we have. And it doesn't mean that we don't have an upward tick right now, because we do. But when you think about the fact that this is the second largest country in the world, the numbers, the daily numbers are just, really, we're freaking out because it's, getting close to 1,000 a day, Actually, I think it's getting close to 900 a day. And we're freaking out because of that in the whole country. We're not talking about one area, we're talking the whole country. And so I don't know about you, but I have every reason to be sad about those people who lost their lives. Actually, that's not deaths, that's the number of cases. I think. Anyway, so, but I'm very sad about that, but I'm very glad that to live in Canada where we're controlling it as well as we are. So the learning moment, if you like, today that I wanted to bring you was this one. Because I often wonder whether we understand enough about the difference between what an emotion is and what a feeling is. So here's the easy thing to do. Emotions are physical. So let me think about this. Shock is an emotion. Does that make sense? You can see it. It is a physical thing. How about ouch? You can hear it. It is tangible. You can. It is a physical thing. So that is an emotion, and that's hurt. That's pain. Why? Because that's the noise we make. Isn't it interesting? Why do we say ouch when we're in pain? We were taught that. What if we said nice instead? What if we taught ourselves to say nice? I could feel that. All right, so Kimmy is saying about the Christmas question that I asked, my husband Adrian does not want to talk or do anything for Christmas. He has changed since his stroke and heart attack. You know something? I don't think that it's just about his stroke or heart attack. I think that a lot of us are feeling that way. And so I would say that, hear him. Hear him that, he doesn't want to do anything. Now, if you do, you can have your own little place somewhere in your environment where you can do your Christmas. Or you can make sure that you don't do a whole lot of Christmas stuff. Be aware. And so, yes, and Kimmy's saying she likes the idea of not saying ouch in pain. All right. Well, you might. I always say to people that one of the things that I can remember was when they had to, when I was in hospital one time in emergency, and they said to me, we have to give you an epidural. I always have this comment that I come up with, and I don't know where I started it, but whenever something sounds a little bit scary to me, I always say, I can't remember that being related to an erotic experience. You know what I mean? It's sort of, I got myself trained that I don't want to say that can be very painful. I look at the other side of it. And so, yeah. And so Kimmy is saying, yes, that she thinks this Christmas thing, it's not that we don't want to celebrate Christmas. I think that we know we cannot celebrate Christmas in the way that we used to. And I realized here I am, those of you who know me well and regular viewers, I'm not even in my own home. I'm in a rented apartment. Why? My house caught fire on September the 23rd. And I am lucky to be alive, and I'm lucky to be in very comfortable surroundings. But this is not home to me. This is a temporary living space. And to go and get all my Christmas decorations, I got to find them, first of all, because, they're all in my shed that I haven't even started to unpack yet. So I'm going, do I really want that trouble? Now, I do know that in the house, I do have a bag of Christmas, blue Christmas lights. I might bring those and string them on my deck or something, just so I can see the lights. But, again, or maybe I'll bring them inside. And so that you guys can see them, But I know there's a bag. I managed to find a bag of Christmas lights. So I would like to say, what if we could give ourselves permission to do the best we can this Christmas? Whether it's financially, emotionally, it is all about, I don't think that whether you put up Christmas lights or not changes the spirit of Christmas. I don't think the Christmas tree says that you are a better Christian, for those of you who are Christians, right? I would like to say that these are all commercial things that we have put in place. Now, I look at my neighbors, I'm in an apartment complex, and they're sort of like what I can see 1, 2, 3 different buildings from where I sit. And to me, it's really quite cute because quite a few of them have put up some Christmas lights, which is why I might put mine up, because I realize that Christmas decorations is as much to do with the outside people looking in as it is inside looking out. And so therefore, obviously the whole environment is going to look very Christmassy if enough of us put some Christmas lights up. So I might just do it to be neighborly. How about that one? Or, the thing is, I can't even put them up at my house. Why? There is only one special place where you can plug things in, and it's not outside. It's only inside, and it's running my freezer and my fridge. So, to get a wire inside is going to be difficult. And until they turn on the main electrical again, now, if they do that before Christmas, then I might consider it. So let me think about that. I started to say, and for those of you who are regulars, you know that one of the things I like to say, don't concentrate on what you can't do, concentrate on what you can. And what I decided was that I could make chocolates this year, homemade chocolates. I refuse to go and buy all the things that I know I've got, but they're in storage because of the fire. Why would I waste my money rebuying things? So I thought, what one thing can I buy and start making? Oh, I suppose you want to see them. Hold on a second. Wait a minute, because there's more to the story. Hold on a second. Oops. Now, I wonder, just before I talk about this, have any of you noticed I'm wearing different clothing today? Now that you mention it, Sal, yes. Okay, so here we go. These are my little salted caramel chocolates. And by the way, in the back, they've got some score bits here in them. So they are my kryptonite. And I made them in an ice cube tray. But aren't they beautiful? And what is the emotion that you can hear? I've got to tell you, they are so good. I made them out of salted caramel chocolate chips. And then added score bits on the end. Now, do you feel the emotion of that? And by the way, how many of you almost salivating? Ah, there are two of them. If I eat the second one, I will be even happier. This is so rude, isn't it? But so good. So here's my question. If I make chocolates for everybody and end up eating them myself, would I have celebrated the Christmas spirit? Think about that. I want Jody saying, "Sal, I love you, but how could you do this to me?" I melt the chocolate and then put the chocolate in ice cube trays just because that's a really nice shape for a chocolate. And I don't freeze them, no. Once they're made, I put them in the fridge, and I will take them out of the fridge when I go to give them to people. By the way, I also chocolate pecan and chocolate something else. Chocolate pecan and chocolate something else. Anyway, the next one I found out that you can actually, that one I haven't made yet, Jody. Jody's saying mallow. I'm about to make 2-ingredient fudge, just using chocolate and marshmallow. Now, I've never done that, so that's my experiment, and I will show you how that works. But the thing that I wanted to say to you is that I also, I'm thinking of making some chocolate dipped, make little small cakes I've got a silicone ice cube tray, but what if I put cake mix into those little compartments and cook little mini cakes and then cover those with chocolate? How will that taste? Or, I'm thinking about, what if I put in some cake mix with half a mandarin orange and let that bake? So I'm thinking I can make all sorts of creative things, and I need to get making and stop eating them because Christmas is coming. But what the point that I'm trying to make is I can keep beating up on myself because my equipment is in storage, and really it is so much trouble to get things out, as I found out. That's the point that I wanted to make. I have joy this week because they delivered some of my winter clothing. And what I suppose you guys want to see, what did they manage to get for me? And for those of you who are regular viewers, when you think of me at Christmas time, what do you think of in terms of clothing? Let's see how long you've been viewers. And I'll tell you whether they've pulled that out for me, because I made a specific list of things. Yes, the red and plaid. Yeah, you see, you guys know me so well. Hold on a second. Yeah, so Jody's talking about this. My red plaid, my red plaid cardigan that I wear every Christmas when I do the Christmas broadcast. So absolutely, it's actually a cardigan, Jody, but to me, it's one of those things that I bought and it never went out of style. You know what I mean? Which is a classic. I love to buy classics. And by the way, I've got to find out what they put in the boxes before they pack them up, because they all have this incredibly good smell. All right, anything else? How many of you recognize this? My red parka that I shovel snow in whilst wearing my slip-on runners. Yeah, that's a story from last Christmas. So you understand there's certain things that I knew you guys would want to see me wearing. And I, quite honestly, I was both glad and sad. But what I realized was I didn't, and the boots, I'm waiting for the boots. I actually didn't call for the matching boots of these. I called for the longer tan UGG type boots that I've got. And by the way, Jody, and everybody else who knows me, you will remember this time last year, I was suffering with really bad edema. That's where your feet swell up. And I could not get into my winter boots. Can you remember that? Well, guess what? A year later, I don't have edema anymore. I have managed to get rid of it. And I think I know what factors helped. And so therefore, I should be able to get into those winter boots of mine. Kimmy's saying, I eat a little bit differently, different kinds of chocolate, and my blood glucose does not go up and down. When I eat a little Tootsie Roll, my blood glucose gets high. That is the whole thing, Kim, about understanding that this whole keeping control of your blood glucose is, Jodi's expression is, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And it is delightfully exciting to find out what things we can eat in moderation without spiking horribly. Or after we've eaten the chocolate, know to drink water. And what I found is dropping, I have a big jug of water over there, and I drop in one lemon piece of, at the end, you know, the ends of the lemon and the ends of the oranges, I freeze those. And then when I'm making water for myself, I drop an end of orange and an end of lemon into it. And they become my, as you can see, it actually changes the color of the water. And it is great. It gives me free flavored water that's very tasty, and therefore I drink more of it. So the good point, Kimmy, thank you for mentioning that. All right, so we talked a bit about emotion. So feelings are different, all right? Now emotions, you can see, hear them, but feelings are mental. They are mental associations, therefore you can't see them. Now, how many of you know that if people could see our emotions, they could understand us a lot better? If they could see our feelings, they could understand us a lot better. But what they see are our emotions. Now, one of the things that that my doctor understands about me, that I realize that he really understands me quite well, is that he knows that by profession for many, many years, I was a professional speaker. Now, that means that I have the ability to be sick as a dog and still stand up on stage and perform, all right? Because that's what artists, whatever you want to call us, performers do. You know, they quite honestly, when they've had you booked for a year and paid a lot of money to have you come and speak, fly you out, hotels, everything, food, you know, they don't want to hear that you've got the flu, really. Do you understand? So you learn to perform regardless. And so one of the things that Jodi always comments on is the fact that, you know, how many times she knows privately that I'm sick, but I will still do the broadcast. And it's not that I'm being a martyr in any way. It's just I have that ability to be able to do it. And for those of you who are regulars, you can probably hear I've still got a cold hanging on. But, you know, it doesn't mean that I can't perform. And that is the important thing. So think about this, right? Emotions are easy to see. Feelings are, well, I'm trying to find an F. I'm trying to find an F word that means covered up. Okay, anybody got a word beginning with F that means that we're covering something up? Are folded. All right, feelings are folded into our mental state. How about that? So emotions are easy to see. Feelings are folded into our mental state. How's that? Emotions are easy to see, hear, whatever. But feelings are folded in. And so when you think about that, when you understand that, what is likely to cause us depression, emotion or feeling? Huh? Right, now then, in the meantime, Kimmy was talking about that she was talking about the Tootsie Roll thing. And Jody, who is our diabetes guru, says probably because the Tootsie Roll has mostly corn syrup and not real chocolate. Corn syrup will skyrocket your blood sugar. Yes. And you know something, Jody? One thing I was thinking of making, I noticed that a major ingredient of it was corn syrup, and I went, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do it to my friends, never mind to me. And you know, it is surprising that real chocolate does not spike blood sugar as much as you might think. Interesting. Okay, so Jody, I wanted to ask you for this evening, if you can remind me to talk about why you decided to give up or to minimize your no sugar added content in your diet. All right, so yes, Sandy is saying those mini chocolates I can eat just fine, but the mini Mars bar will spike again because of the ingredients. Yes, and that's my favorite, of course. My kryptonite for my whole life was Mars bar. And Kimmy's saying, I'll never eat a Tootsie Roll again. Well, I disagree with you. If you really enjoy a Tootsie Roll, I would cut it into 4 and freeze it, you know, and every now and then, if you really want a treat, bring out a quarter of one, because a quarter of one followed by some water is probably not going to do you a whole lot of harm if you really like them that much. It's like everything is about the balance, all right? And that's what life is about. They were very small and made it spike anyway. Yep, so that now, but Kimmy, the same thing is, I knew that eating 2 of those salted caramel bits last night after midnight was going to show up on my blood sugar this morning, and it did. But you know, I had them anyway. The voice in my head said I could. So again, what could I do about Christmas? What I did do was I ordered up some festive bags, you know, little carry bag things, what do you call them? Gift bags, and some papers, tissue paper to go inside them. And I decided I am just going to line them up and I'm going to bake little things so that I give people something, but it's just not going to be the same. And hey, maybe it's the start of I don't have a lot of money this year, do you? And so I think it's really important that we go back to what can I make, not what can I buy. Right, here's my next thing. Angry. Is angry, what would be the feeling of anger? You know, if somebody were angry, how would you recognize that as a feeling? What actions? Actually, feelings are folded in, all right? So we won't see that necessarily. But what emotional things can we see or hear in anger? What do you do when you are angry? What changes in your voice tone? What changes in your actions when you are angry? By the way, does your facial expression change? Those of you who are regular viewers will know that my eyes start to open up when I start to get a little angry. Normally my eyes are pretty relaxed, but if I start to get really, if ever you see me really open up my eyes and probably start pointing my finger, which I hate, it means that I am losing a level of control. I'm getting angry. However, how many of you know that somebody, putting a fist down heavily? Oh, Jody shakes her foot. And tap side. Yes, that's what is this about? This is about, I'm controlling the rest of my body, but this bit, very good point, Jody, yes. And the more angry she gets, the faster she talks and louder. Good. And so when you know this about yourself, you can recognize it before other people can. Think about that. You can recognize it. So if you find yourself here doing this, or you happen to look down and you see your foot doing this, now you can say, okay, body, what are you angry about? Because you might not have got to process the feeling yet. Your body recognizes it, but you have not cleared it up in your mind yet. Does that make sense? So that's the next thing. Do you notice that your body reacts before your mind does? And that's not a bad thing when you think about it. Because how many of you know that if you, as a child, and you go, what's hot? And you find out, you do this before you feel the pain. It's like, it is hot, but you sort of move before the pain kicks in. Hi, Jeannie, good to see you. And have you got a roof going yet? So think about that. That, when you think about the fact that the emotion of it, the things you can see and hear, normally are before the feelings of it. So to me, when we can understand that, when you hear about somebody, or you can hear them get angry, right? Because their voice, or whatever it is, you can hear it. And so I wonder, Sandy and Kim, if you could just be aware that talking about it on Facebook is dinging here, and other people can hear it as well. So it's good. So Jeannie, for those of you who don't know, her house also had a fire in it, but hers was gutted. I was very lucky. I managed to save most of my house, but even so, it's over $100,000 worth of damage. But Jeannie's saying that she is not sure, but it's coming on fast. And they were there yesterday, and so many workers were busy. Yes, and I'm certain once the roof is on, they're going to be even busier. So that's great to hear. So I did get angry this week. And the reason I'm angry, Kimmy, can I ask you not to discuss this while we're doing a broadcast? Because wait a minute, let me just get your settings. Turn off notifications. Okay, all right, now you can talk about it if you want to. So here we go. The thing I got angry about was I ordered, I didn't bring my lipsticks with me today. You remember I have that Revlon lip balm that we were discussing last week. And I realized I was at the end of it because somebody talked to me about it. And what I did, number one makeup tip, by the way, is when I get right to the bottom and I can't put it on this way, I then use what's left in it as part of a lip gloss, right? So I will use lip gloss and mix it with that color that's inside and use it as colored lip gloss, because I can no longer use it as a lipstick. So that way I don't have to buy different color lip glosses. I've got them at the bottom of different lipsticks. I hope that makes sense to people. So here's the thing. I went online because Jody, thank you, Jody, found me this site that had that lip balm that costs $16 if I buy it through a local thing, but she found it for $3. Now that's a good deal. And what I did is I thought, I'm going to buy a range of them of different colors, because at that price, it's got to be worth it. And if you're going to pay $12 shipping, you might as well get some of them. So I ordered 5 and happy to pay the $12 shipping, because even then, when I did the math on it, it would end up being about $5 per lipstick, which for lip balm, which would be obviously far less than the $15, $16 that I was going to have to pay retail. So that was very exciting. I was very glad. And then I saw the order come through. And what happened was they only recorded the order of one, the first one, not the other four. And here I was now paying $3 for the one plus $12 shipping. And I got angry. But just for a heartbeat, not for long. And I just wrote to them and said, I need you to cancel that order. I actually ordered 5. I'm certainly not paying $12 shipping for one. But that's why I ordered 5. And I actually got an email back from them about it, saying they were sorry that they screwed up. And I said no. And I sent a second email and said, please understand that I need confirmation that you have canceled that order. And I didn't get a reply. And guess what? The next thing I knew, through PayPal, I got notification that they billed me for that one lipstick and the $12. Now, I don't know about you. I wrote to them and said, I'd like you to put through a refund of the shipping. I can prove that I wrote to you and asked you to cancel the order within an hour of making the order. And I can prove that I sent you a second email asking for confirmation that you'd canceled it, that you didn't reply to. So therefore, I have the paper trail, if you like, the digital record that order was not meant to go through and you let it go through. That's on you. So here's the thing. I don't want to pay for the shipping. Why? I have ordered another 5. I'm happy to pay for the shipping on that, but I am not paying for the shipping on the one that you sent in error. I'll pay for the actual $3 for the lip balm. I'm not a nasty person. I'm just not paying for that shipping. Do you understand that that's, instead of getting angry, I did something about it. And by the way, I wasn't sure I was going to get a reply from them, so I also advised PayPal that I wanted a refund of the shipping. And you'll be pleased to know that I now have the refund already put through. Yay. So don't get mad, get action going. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, I can be angry, but I also have compassion. So is it possible that a mistake was made? The person writing to me might have asked for it to be canceled, and the person down the line didn't cancel it in time. So it's not that they necessarily were trying to scam me. It's just that mistakes happen. Do you understand how I managed to calm myself down? But I definitely knew I was not going to pay for the shipping. Now, in the meantime, I got sad about this because Jody was so devastated when she heard my story about the lip balm that she went off and found some for me and bought it for me. You know, I was sad about that. Jody, I mean, I'm going to be delighted when I get it, but, you know, it's like Jody has little enough money, and there she was, you know, helping me get my lip balm. Well, tears in my eyes again. Thank you, Jody. And I had to keep remembering that it must have made you happy to do it. All right. And that's Jody saying, don't be sad. Yeah. It's not what you wanted. So that's why I'm saying that it just, I'm being honest, Jody. It made me sad at the time where I went, that's so typical. And she did it so quickly, of course, that she didn't get my solution in time. So I felt badly about that. Now, how many of you remember I bought the salted coffee, a salted caramel flavor for my coffees? Jody, I want to tell you that, and I don't know if you saw it, but I put it up on Facebook, that the difference was that the big bottle, I'm trying to get both hands in, the big bottle that you plunge cost $11, and yet I had the little drops in a dropper thing this size, and that cost me $16. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a good deal. And I kept wondering, did they take the big bottle and decant it into the little ones and then sell it at 16? If so, that's a great way to make a lot of money. And so to me, I have to say, and Jody, this is where I'd like a small discussion about this tonight, is I'd like to know, I've noticed that since I've had the plunge of the salted caramel syrup, if you like, no sugar added, I don't need to put any sprinkles on top of my coffee. But I'd like to know, how damaging is it to me? All right, so Jeannie's saying that York, her husband, needed a notebook recently. I went into the Dollar Tree to find one. I asked a young man working there where to find it, but I had a senior moment. And hummed a bit, saying, and the guy made fun of me. Later, as I was leaving, I told the manager I was unhappy. Yeah, good for you for calling that out. And I think a lot of people are going to have little senior moments this year. I'm going to talk about that in a second, Jeannie, and I'll explain to you what's happening. I believe what's happening. All right, Sandy's asking me about, did I like the taste of this? What do you think? Did I manage to convey the emotion? Now Jeannie is saying, I recommend you try it. I'm sorry, I'm Sandy, I recommend you try it. Jeannie is saying that when the staff member got called out on it, the staff member said, oh no, we were just joking with one another. And Jeannie said, no, we weren't. Okay, so Jeannie, you understand what happened here. This guy thought he was, he opened his mouth when he shouldn't have done. And so he hit you with a nasty comment. Now, when he got called on it, his only defense is to say he was joking. And I want to tell you, I have learned some words around that, Jeannie, and I'll gladly share them with you if you'd like them. When I know that somebody is talking to me out of defense and saying, oh, I was just joking. And what I say to people, it's funny how many times I have heard that people say the words, I'm just joking, when they realize they've just been called on hurting somebody. And I wonder if that is true of you at this moment. The other thing, Jeannie, that I've learned to do, and it is important, is that I've learned to say, ouch. And then they'll go, what? I said, I just want you to know what you just said to me hurt. And I don't know if you intended that. Did you intend to hurt me? Boy, I want to tell you, that wakes people up big time. And so the thing is that what happens is we have the feeling, and the feelings are covered up. So I am learning to verbalize my feelings. So when somebody hurts me like that, makes fun of me for something, I open my mouth now and I say, I just want to tell you something. I feel pretty hurt. What? Your comment hurt me. I just need you to know that. And Judy's saying, I dislike being made fun of. I really hate it. Now, Judy, there are two sides to that. I'm pretty sure that everybody in the room right now will agree with you. We don't find a lot of fun in being made fun of, except, Jeannie, I have to tell you one thing. When I started being a speaker, Hang on, everybody. I just want to see if that's urgent. That doesn't happen to me very often when I'm broadcasting. So it means somebody who doesn't know I'm broadcasting. Or not. So what I found when I started speaking, I actually was quite serious. And then I started to get self-deprecating, where I started to make fun of myself. That's self-deprecating, when when I would say things like, am I the only one, who appears to have the waterworks, internal waterworks directly attached to their door key. I found out that I, could need to go to the washroom and I was absolutely fine until the moment I put the door key in the door. And then for some reason, it literally became more and more difficult. I don't know if any of you relate to that, but I realized that when people laughed at me, if I was in the right place, I could actually develop a very interesting comedic style. And that's what I did. So, Jeannie, it's not true of all things. I did dislike it until I realized there was some benefit in it. However, I do agree with you. If somebody hurts me like that, I call them on it. Now, Jeannie was saying that the manager said that they were so sorry to hear that and that she would speak to him later. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying making fun of oneself is so different. Absolutely. And so you understand that, but I have been wrongly accused. I can remember when I was working, there was one person who walked in, an Indo-Canadian, and he said to me out of nowhere, I don't know what I said that upset him, and he said, "You just don't like non-white people." And I looked at him in absolute shock. And I said, I am so sorry that you believe that. And he caused a big stink in the reception until luckily my boss came out and said, "What's this about?" And he listened to the guy, and then he looked at me and he started to laugh. And he said, "Do you know that Sal has an adopted son of color?" So the fact that you say that she is biased against non-white people is just ludicrous. And I don't know what you thought you heard, but your statement to Sal is completely wrong. I was really so proud of him for backing me up against a client. And I said, I am sorry, I don't know what I said. And of course, he wasn't prepared to admit what had triggered him. But you understand, sometimes those things depend on the mentality and how you were brought up, Jeannie. Have you noticed that I was brought up that you never shake a finger at somebody? Okay. Now, somebody shakes a finger at me, it actually triggers me. Why? Because I was not allowed to. Do any of you relate to that? So I have an internal trigger when I see somebody doing this. And by the way, have you noticed their eyes are out on stalks at the same time? And I will actually say to people now, I will do this, but I don't do this. I will say to people, I need you to do me a really big favor. And that is, could you please stop wagging your finger at me? And it's a personal thing. I was taught that that was incredibly rude. But what happens is it brings up the wrong response in me. So if you want me to listen to what you're saying, drop the hand signal. Because to me, it's a signal like that. Yes, and Jenny's saying, I was willing to let it go, but then he kept it up for quite a while. Yeah, and I find the same when people call me dearie, love. It's just like, I don't know why, but I react to that. I always have. Especially if you're in a medical situation and they start using terms like that, I actually will say, young man, I may be old enough to be your grandmother, but do me a favor. Don't ever talk to your grandmother in those terms. And please don't talk to me with those expressions either. It is not polite. Oh, no, I was trying to be kind. No, you're not being kind, because you would not talk to your mother like that or your grandmother. I'm pretty sure you don't call your grandmother dearie. And if you do, stop it. And so to me, I think all these things in life, Jeannie, are important lessons for us to pass on. And I am pretty certain that you will have taught that young man some customer service that he didn't know. And, you know, who knows what happened to him. I think if you ever see him again, it would be really nice to be incredibly kind to him, to show that it's just a lesson. It wasn't personal. Yep, and Jeannie's just saying she just got confirmation that the roof is up. Well done. You've got a roof over your house at last, which means the rest is going to happen. I'm still waiting for the trusses to arrive for mine. So my question to you all is, what mind shifts, if any, did you have to make this week? Because one of the things we talk about is that we can have something trigger us, but it's how quickly can we turn our mind around, and what do we use to turn our mind around that makes the difference? So you heard that Jeannie had somebody insult her. Now she could bottle it up and feel the feeling and probably stay festered in it for quite a while, or she could take some action, which is to actually talk about it. And she talked about it not to the person, I don't think, all right? You talk just directly to the manager. So to me, it's like, think about that. If you do something, you normally get rid of the trigger quite quickly. If you just let it fester, you'll stay in that hamster wheel, going round and round in circles and talking about how bad it was. So if you had any of those experiences, feel free to start typing away. I found that, all right, so Jeannie's saying she actually talked directly to the manager. Why did you not speak to him? That's a question I would ask. Because, you know, part of me goes that if he might have taken it quite well if he had realized what he'd done, but at least he would have had the opportunity to apologize. So you think about that. It's not that you were right or wrong, Jeannie. It's just like, I am interested why you didn't actually deal with him directly. So I got quite frustrated this week that nothing was being done at my house. You know, it's 2 months now. And as far as I know, they'd had the permit for quite a while. And so what I did was feel that frustration, and then I made the telephone call. You know, I didn't. I sent an email. And I said, I noticed that nothing got done this week. Could you explain why? Do you understand? It's like I have that ability to do that. And they did. They sent me an email back again. And what I noticed was that within about 48 hours, I got a call from the flooring guy. And the flooring guy wanted to know, hang on a second. He wanted to know what color floors I wanted, and could he come around with samples. Now, I'm just picking up my my tablet here because I wanted to show you the decision I had to make. If I can find that, just hold on 1 second. So I wanted to show you what color flooring I had originally in my house. And the reason I want to do this is because there was some fear for me about, what am I going to do? And what if, do any of you relate to this? What if I make the wrong decision? Can you relate to that? First of all, did I want to change? Did I want to change my flooring, or did I want to have the same flooring I had before? And I thought back to when I bought the house. And when I bought the house, it had, hang on a second. It had this color flooring on it. Got it? Okay. And then I asked myself, how did I feel when I saw that flooring? And I can remember that I didn't particularly like it, but I loved everything else about the house. So the flooring was a good idea, was just like something I could tolerate because I loved the rest of the house. So then I thought, wait, what would you like to have? And I thought I'd like to have sort of like a whitewashed gray type country cottage sort of coloring. And I'm talking about something like that. I don't know if that comes through. That probably looks more taupe than gray. But the idea was that it would be much lighter and much more country cottage sort of thing. And how many of you going, how did you do that? How did I change the flooring? Well, it was something that my sister suggested, which is I brought up a picture of the sort of flooring I wanted, and then I cut it and pasted it, and then manipulated it into the drawing. So that's how I did that. So there you've got, hang on, I can get that smaller for you. Wait. So then I could compare the two. Rats. I can do this. Okay, so now I could compare the two. So I felt great joy at being able to learn something new. And I thought, I never thought to do that before. And I'm going, that works. By the way, I also sent an email out to a lot of people that care about me and said, I'm thinking about doing this. Any input would be appreciated. And the only person who said they preferred the previous one, the original one, was my sister. And, I started to react to it, and she said, because I think the darker color is warmer. Interesting. And so to me, that made a lot of sense. Why? My sister has a lot of antique furniture. And, it's wood, and it's darker, and it's warmer. And I wrote back and said, that makes total sense to me because you have this, beautiful furniture. Unfortunately, I don't. And I realized that I've spent a lot of my life living in hotels, and I like the simplicity of color in hotels. And I realized I was actually living in gray and white type environment and how clean it looks. So I decided that's what I'm going to go for. So then I had a lot of fun because I took it to the next step, and I wonder if I can find that for you. Hang on, I need to find an email. Because what I did was I thought, well, what do I want to do about the colors on the walls? Because that's going to be the next one. And what I realized, was that I could either put wallpaper back. Remember, it had wallpaper in my house, or I could do this. I could go for really bold accent walls. So that's a dark charcoal color. And I know from experience that that is a lot easier to maintain than wallpaper. You know, it's like, it's very easy to touch up a bit of paintwork. It is very difficult to touch up something that went wrong with wallpaper. And so I decided that I may not even have wallpaper. I may just go for accent walls in the house. And remembering that all my furniture is sort of like an off-white stone in the dining room with a glass top. So, you know, my side tables are off-white stone with glass tops on them. So that's going to look magnificent against that charcoal color. Yeah, and Jodie's saying it's a smart idea to do a mock-up like that before deciding. Yes, well, that was the whole thing. Now, the other thing is this place where I'm in has dark. If I can show you. Oh, that was the lighting just went for a ball of chalk. That wasn't a brilliant idea, Sal. Hang on a second. Because you know I'm going to do it now anyway. If I haven't disconnected everybody. Oh, I might have disconnected everybody. Nope, still good. Okay. Because you know I've got this floor I'm going to show you. Can you see the floor? So to me, that dark does look quite stunning. But I've also noticed from experience that the dark floor shows up everything. We're still here. Thank you, Jodie. But the dark floor does show up everything. I'm just going to get some lights back on again. Those. Just bear with me a second, everyone. You can tell I do this live, right? There's one light. That's better. The other one hit the floor. So do you think that I had feelings both good and bad? Yes, I had a lighter floor in my previous house as well, Jeannie. And Jeannie's saying that they had a lighter floor and loved it. Yes, I agree with you. And so I'm definitely, and I've got light furniture, and it's not that there's going to be a lack of color. If you remember, I have a plaid, a sort of deep teal plaid on my couch and love seat. That's going to look great against the gray as well. Yes, and Jodie's saying that hers is lighter too. So, you know, it's about everybody needs to get what suits them. And that's why I just wrote back to my sister and said, I tried to be compassionate. So that makes perfect sense. You know, she's into chintzes and florals and things like that, which I'm not. As you know, I'm a pretty solid color sort of person. You know, it's just like, I do very minimalistic colors. Why? Oh, and so what I was trying to show you when all that went down was what I liked about this. If you look at this, was it then meant that in the spring I could put like yellow, a couple of yellow cushions on there, and it would look magnificent. And in the winter I could put some red ones. Right, and it would keep changing up the look, but it would still look really good against that dark gray. Yeah, and Jodie's saying, it's interesting, Jodie's saying here, they got the lighter floor, but they got this stunning 1970 linoleum in the kitchen. And I've said to her, she needs to talk to her landlord and just say, you know, what I would do is I would actually say you're beginning to wonder about whether it's still sanitary because it has degraded that much. It's, you know, it's obviously, by its coloring, it's obviously been there a long time. And you're beginning to wonder whether it's harboring germs. You're doing your best to keep it clean, but, you know, the shine has long since gone off it, and it's, you know, it's getting more and more difficult to clean. And I would come at it from a sanitary point of view, and that may well just, yeah. Jodie's saying in terms of the color scheme here, yeah, they're red and gray, right? Looks great, doesn't it? And so I could even, you know, put the red comforter, that the quilt that Pat made me, you know, on my bed for the winter, for example. But and put the other one in the other room. So, you know, it's like there's so many things that are possible. The teal would look great against it as well. You know what I'm saying? That a deep gray looks really good. Yes, and this is a personal thing. Jeannie's saying, I rather enjoy the formal living room. Most of my friends do not. But I love the older style sofa with legs. This is your right, Jeannie. The thing is, your home is your castle. You have the right to do it your way. And I want to tell you that what surprises people is that, you know, that I am as minimalistic in my choices. And I think when I thought about it, I realized that I have spent so much time living in hotels because of my profession, and that I got used to that minimalistic but stunning look. And, you know, it is really interesting when you think about it. I still am in shock. You know, when I went to sell my house, I downsized everything, and then I had my realtor come in to tell me, you know, because they always tell you, get rid of this, get rid of that, tidy up this, do this, that. And my realtor walked in and I said, okay, what do I have to get rid of? She said, nothing. I said, no, I know. And she said, so I don't know how you did it, but I would have done exactly what you did. I lie. There was one little shelving unit that she asked me to get rid of. But other than that, nothing. And she said, you already knew what to do. And she said, that's the amazing thing, that I didn't have to teach you what to do. You knew what to do. And it's, you know, it's quite a simple thing. If you want it to look stunning, you only have one thing on every surface, one. And I don't know about you, that is extremely difficult to do. All right, so now then, I want to talk to you about something that Bernice wrote to me about. And I asked permission to share this with you because I think it gives so many examples about what happens to us. Now, for those of you who don't know, quite a few of my viewers are diabetic or pre-diabetic like myself. And Bernice has been doing a lot of learning around what it takes to deal with diabetes. And like everything else, it's not easy because it means you have to give up a lot of foods that you love and a lot of things like sugar. And you need to find alternative ways to satisfy those taste buds. So here's what she said. On the diabetes side of things, I'd been in denial and have been eating like I didn't have diabetes for a month or so. I tried my hardest to control the carb eating, but I gave in. Now, some of you will relate to this story based on maybe your weight or based on, I don't know, some other goal that you've got. But you hear that she knew that she needed to control her carbs, but, and I quote, I had been in denial and had been eating like I didn't have diabetes for a month or so. That's the voice in the head going, don't worry about it. She went on to say, she gave some figures, and I'm not going to bore you guys with that, but she went on to say, I'm in control again, and it helps that my husband wants to join my in-laws with a lifestyle change for low carb and exercise with intermittent fasting. Now, intermittent fasting, for those of you who don't know, means that you decide that you're not going to eat for certain hours of the day. I think the most common one is 16-8. In other words, you don't eat for 16 hours, but then you eat normally for the next 8. And so that's what intermittent fasting is all about. So she said, I joined in as well, but I'm not going to do the net carb 25 like they want. All right. And I don't want to worry about the figures right now. I'll be following what my dietitian suggested with total carb and mostly adjust. She also said, I mostly adjust according to how my body and meds work. Very important. So she's going to start with doing 12 hours no eating and 12 hours eating. She's getting back on her train that she knows will take her to better health, right? And since we got back from Texas, I still ate whatever I wanted. But since the other day, I got the hugest headache from all the sugar. After that, I swore to eat better and feel so much better already. And then gave the figures that improving. So here's the question. How many of you relate to having a goal? And Bernice's was to manage her diabetes by not eating as many carbs, to have a goal and then shoot yourself in the foot. I want to give credit to Jody again, because Jody taught me that you are allowed to live. Okay, so it's not about perfection. It is, can you balance it out? So Jody, correct me if I get this wrong in any way. But if you are on a lifestyle change, I don't want to call it a diet, because I don't diet now. I have changed my lifestyle. If I have salted caramel chocolates, isn't that funny? I talk about it and I immediately drink water. Isn't that amazing? I have trained myself. Even talking about it made me pick up the water. I find that funny. Does anybody else? I've linked, if it's two things, I've linked in my mind, if it's sweet, eat meat. In other words, get some protein, boiled egg, or, maybe a little piece of meat. But if it's sweet, eat meat and hydrate. So you've taught me well, Jody. So the thing is, it's not about perfection. But here's what I found, and this is why I really related to Bernice's story. I found that with all the upset and all the other excuses I can come up with about being displaced and the frustration and everything else, that my blood sugar started to creep up. And it's higher than I wanted. Now, I can carry on with the excuses, but the excuses are not going to change my blood sugar. Do we all agree on that? And I want you to think about what it is you're trying to achieve and how many times your excuses stop you from achieving it. And so I literally did about a month of having my figures too high, and I realized if I don't get control pretty soon, they're going to affect my A1C big time, and they probably still will. And I am not sure, but I see if I can find out what my A1C rating is at the moment with the way that I've been eating. And A1C I will talk about in a minute if that's jargon for some of you. It's the amount of extra sugar that is running around my body that couldn't get in the warehouse that I'm allowed to have sugar. All right, so my average now, I think, yeah, I did pretty well last week. If you look at this, yeah, that doesn't tell you what I'm trying to show you at all. Yeah, this was last week. So I'm getting better. There are only 3 red ones there. So what I realize is that I can carry on. Nobody's forcing me with a gun to my head to stop eating badly. But if I want to be healthy, if I want to not get diabetes, I need to get under control. Quite simple. So what I did is I said, okay, fine, that's enough now. I need to start getting back under control. The same as Bernice. So I totally related to her story. And so now what I'm doing is I'm back on intermittent fasting. Well, the two salted caramel chocolates were, there goes my intermittent fasting. But every day except today, I don't eat until about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Interesting. Jeannie's saying, I had one doctor who gave me 2 different meds which totally disagreed with me. I was on one of them for months and then stopped. To me, it was not worth it to live unhappily and in pain. And this was to prevent kidney stones. Wow. And Jeannie said, at this point, I'm so much improved without those meds. Yes, sometimes the cure is more painful than we think. So the other thing is this, maybe look at holistic ways of helping you not get kidney stones. That would be the other thing. So to me, it's just like there are different ways of doing things. I'm not saying don't listen to the doctor. Now, I wanted to just give another talk here about a viewer, and that's Lauren. Lauren got caught on one of those scams that I got caught on a while back. And that was that she bought something online, and the next thing she saw was that there was a recurring payment being made. Every month. And I had that. I bought something, and the next thing I saw was there was a monthly payment going through from these same people. And when I complained about it, they said, oh no, you didn't read the fine print. And I said, yeah, it was so fine that I couldn't read it. And therefore, do me a favor, cancel it immediately. And so I would really beg you all to be prepared to get scammed. All right, be prepared to get scammed, and be very careful. Be very, very careful of what you are buying online, and make sure that you are aware of it. And if you notice there's a problem, complain about it immediately, and do it as I did, in writing, i.e. an email, something that you can bring it up and show that you complained about it and they didn't do anything about it. And also let the provider know. If you bought it on your Visa card, let Visa know that you are disputing this charge, or PayPal, let them know that you're disputing this charge. Very important. So well done, Lauren, for taking action, because that's a really important thing. I wonder if any of you have had any feelings of surprise, or have you had any emotion of surprise? What does surprise look like? And I think really that the emotion of surprise is good or bad. I found that when I unboxed my winter clothes that I've obviously got over here. Why? Because without even being aware, I'm pointing over there. Isn't that interesting? But when I opened that box and I smelt whatever they put in there, I don't know whether it was Febreze or what it was, but boy, I want to tell you, it just smelled so nice when I know that they stank of fire before. And it just made me happy. And I thought, I really am going to contact them and ask them what they sprayed in that box, because whatever it is, I'd like some more of it. But it was amazing, the feelings that I got and the emotion that I had around getting some more of my old clothes back. Now, here's the good news, bad news story. Hi there, Bernice. Thank you so much for letting me share your story. So here's what I found out. was on the good side. I was so excited to see some of my other clothes. I've been wearing the same 3 outfits basically for 2 months. And I want to tell you, that's boring. And so what I asked for, because I knew we were about to get pretty cold, so I asked for some of my warmer stuff. And I asked for my big long coat that some of you recognize, the brown coat with it's also got a hood like this one, but it's a long one. And I asked for a couple of cardigans that I have, and I asked for some sweatpants. And I asked for, please throw in about half a dozen tops, t-shirts is what I asked for. Now, I was delighted to see this one because I've always liked this one. But they threw in 2 that don't fit me. This is where you've got a danger of when you keep stuff. I had a group of t-shirts that don't fit me, but they have sentimental value to me. And one of them is the one that says it's all about Sal, that Marnie gave me. And it was so funny because I went, I just said to them, make your own choice. I should have said, if it's got the word December on it, it would be a good idea. But anyway, they sent me, and then they sent me an orange top, which I wouldn't normally wear in the winter. I'd wear it in the fall, but that's okay. I can make a change. But it was funny because I had the disappointment, and then I went back immediately. I shifted out of the disappointment and went, hey, you've got different clothes. And if you need to buy a couple of t-shirts, not the end of the world. It's probably time you had a couple of new ones. So, it's like a tremendous dichotomy. Have any of you felt that this week, where 1 minute you were not totally happy and then you managed to correct it and see the upside of it? Because if you are doing that, then you have grown emotionally. I wonder if any of you have felt any fear this week. And if so, please talk about it. In the meantime, while you're typing that, I wanted to thank Jody again. Jody, it was so funny. Last week, we were talking about me trying to open up a bottle of something. And you said, because, all my bottle opening type stuff in storage, and you said, why not try the bath mat? Now, it helped to loosen, but didn't work totally on the thing I was trying to open. But yesterday, I was trying to open up a bottle of Christmas mincemeat, because I wanted to make Christmas mince pies. And I couldn't open it. My arthritis in this hand is so bad, I could not open that jar. And I ran it under the hot water and I still couldn't open it. And then I went, try the bath mat. Thank you, Jody, it worked. So there's a tip. If you haven't got your jar opener and you've got a bath mat, a rubber bath mat, that works pretty well. The other thing is, if you've got that rubberized drawer liner, that really works well as well. And I might have to get some just so I've got a little bit. I wanted to say that I got a bit scared this week, that I wanted to just give you a heads up. How many of you play games online? Maybe on your phone or whatever. I want you to think about something. How many of you notice that on a lot of them, before you play them, they ask for permission to access things like can I access your contact list, or can I access this or that? And I would like you to please be very careful and say no. The only thing that, and some of them will say, oh, we need that so that we can keep score for you or something. Work very hard at saying no. And the reason is, Who is it that's asking for that? If you think about it, if you were a hacker and wanted to get into people's life, the easiest thing to do is to devise a game that somebody wants to play and then ask people for permission to get into their computers to play it. Think about that. Is it making any sense to anybody? And so now, I play quite a few games online, and I'm the first one to admit that. But just be more aware, be a little more cautious if you can. And if your banking facility gives you the opportunity, for example, to have what they call an online credit card, that you only use it for online purchases, make sure you utilize that if you can. I thought I would mention that. I wanted to talk a little bit about what you may think are inconsequential memories. And what I'm going to do, with your permission, is to give you a couple of words, and I want you to think about what immediately comes to your mind. It's a bit like a Rorschach test, right? But I want you to think about what immediately comes to your mind. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because I have noticed some interesting things coming up for me. And I notice, for example, whenever I'm doing my hair, I think about a hairdresser that I saw. I didn't even talk to her, but I saw her walk through her own hairdressing salon with her hair covered in rollers because she was going out for dinner that night. And I don't know why, whenever I do that, that association, that's inconsequential association comes to mind. Now, to me, it's inconsequential because I never even spoke to her. It was just, I saw her in the reflection of the mirror walking behind me. Isn't that interesting? Why does my memory bring up that picture? First of all, you know that your memory stores pictures. And so that's interesting that whenever I'm doing my hair, it brings me back this picture. All right, Jeannie's saying, a cashier at my grocery store recognized me and waved, said hello as I waited for the lady ahead of me. I felt quite happy that she seemed to be like seeing me. Yes, we all love that. And that's why it's really important. If somebody is slow, and one of the things that customer service training is all about is always to smile at the next person so they know they recognize. Good customer service. All right, Bernice, good to see you, and thank you so much for letting us share your story. And keep doing what you know is right. And it's okay not to be perfect every now and then. So I want you to be aware of those inconsequential pictures that your mind throws up, because there's a pretty good reason why it's doing it. I keep trying to work out, why does it show me that? And I think I was so stunned to see a hairdresser in wearing rollers. And by the way, now that I think about it, it's when I put rollers in my hair that picture comes up. So it's not inconsequential. It feels like it is, but it isn't. For some reason, that picture burned into my memory. So if I said to you, beach, you probably have a picture that pops up into your mind. And it's interesting, when I think about beach, two different beaches come to mind. One was on a little island called Camino off the island of Malta in the Mediterranean. And the other is a beach at the Club Med in Mauritius. It's funny, right? Those are the two beaches that come to mind. And then a third one, if I think beaches, is an unbelievable beach just south of Mozambique, and where Mozambique touches South Africa. I think it still does. Anyway, there is this incredible beach called Mabini, and I want to tell you that that is the most amazing beach. And it has both sad and happy memories for me. And so I think that we need to be aware that our mind stores these pictures and they don't go away. And occasionally, have any of you had them come back to you in dreams, where maybe it's just something you saw fleetingly and then it'll come back to you in a dream? The reason is it was important to you. So whether I liked it or not, that beach in Camino when I was in my late teens was obviously had an impact on me because it comes back whenever I think beaches. When I think about the beach in Mauritius, I still think it was one of the prettiest beaches that I ever saw. And I have memories of sitting there watching the sunset with, a huge orchestrated music coming out of loudspeakers, classical music being blasted out over the beach while we watch the sunset. I want to tell you something. Blasted out would be the wrong word, but it was something about watching the sunset, listening to this incredible classical music at the same time that was just like mind blowing. And so think about these pictures because I think it has reason to touch your soul. And actually, it's funny, the more I talk about beaches, different beaches are coming to my mind. There was a beach on Andros Island in the Caribbean, Bahamas, that also was just an amazing beach. And I loved it because it was a private beach. And as you walked up it, every now and then there was a hammock, and you could just literally be away from everybody in your own private little hammock. And, it was just like, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. So I thought as well about how lucky I have been to see so many beautiful beaches. Right, and Jodi's saying, yes, my beach memory came back in a dream. It was years ago when I was able to take a nice long walk on our favorite beach in Maine. And I think that beach is important to you, Jodi. And my suggestion to you is that you can still walk it. All right. And so put on some really nice music, relaxing music, and just walk it in your mind. Because it is obviously a beach that means a lot to you in terms of relaxation. Why? Look how you described it. It was years ago when I was able to take a nice long walk on our favorite beach. So think about this. Walk it again. And I would start timing the walk, right? I want to talk to you, if I have time, and I do. One of the things, Jodi, that I've noticed, I'm going to talk a little bit about my Wii Fit, and that's WIIFIT, my Wii Fit that I bought secondhand. And the reason I want to talk about it is because, okay, I'm trying to find something I can show you. It has a board attached to it, and you stand on the board, and the board is measuring your ability to stay balanced. And, the board doesn't wobble, but the plates on it do. They move. So it can feel if you're putting your weight slightly on one side or the other. And the interesting thing to me is that when I started this 17 days ago, there was a slalom exercise, like a skiing like this, a slalom exercise that I could not do unless I had held onto a chair. All right. I mean, I tried it. I couldn't do it. And so what I did was I bought a chair so I could give myself some balance. And then I was able to, turn and do what I needed to do. Not well, but I did it. So you can understand that felt good. All right. I had emotions of joy when allowing myself the imperfect thing of holding onto the chair for extra balance. I was able to do the exercise. Do you understand? Being perfect and not holding the chair wasn't what I was trying to do. I was trying to improve my balance. Because what this machine has taught me was I have lost the connection to a large extent between my brain and my balance. And I didn't know it, but you lose the use of your body from the feet up. In other words, you lose that balance, you use the connection. So all the things that you do to keep your brain telling your feet what to do is really important. Boy, have I noticed that. So here's the thing. So 17 days ago, I tried the slalom, couldn't do it without a chair. But I allowed myself the chair so I could do it. And I did that for about a week before I realized I think I've got enough strength now and coordination that I can do it without the chair. So then I tried it and I flunked badly, but I did it. And then I tried it again and again, and every day I try it. Yesterday, I did my best time and I did it without the chair. I did it on my own. How do you think that felt? And by the way, today when I do it, I may not do it as well. And that's okay, because it's all about building the connection between my brain and my feet. Does that make sense to you all? And so what I realized I might have done, and by the way, I am pretty well balanced apparently, but I have difficulty with that coordination thing. There are a number of different exercises in that We Fit that require you to coordinate, either getting on and off the board in rhythm, either backwards or forwards, and all those sort of things. It took me a while to get my brain to coordinate those things. Now, if it isn't easy, it means I need to do it. Does that make sense? And I'm thinking like Bernice saying it wasn't easy to get off the carbs, but now she knows how to do it. Jody's saying that's awesome. I'm proud of you. Well, I'm proud of me too, Jody, because I realize that letting go of perfection, it is so easy to try and do, for example, one of the yoga exercises that was on the floor. I couldn't do it. But, this week after, 17, Sandy's saying coordinating movements gets harder. Yes. And that's what I'm so happy that I've already got my money's worth out of this thing, because it taught me that my coordination was off big time, and especially on my left side. Why? My left hip had been out for a long time. And so to me, it was like, wow, I can do this. And the other thing was, all these floor exercises, and I'm going, I can't even get on the floor, never mind, do the exercises. And then I went, wait a minute, Sal. That's a really good thing for you to do every day, is to get on the floor and get back up again. And if you want to know how badly you need to be on the floor, I don't mean fall, but I found, for example, this week when I every day went down and did at least one floor exercise, the first thing I do is I get onto the floor and I lie flat on the floor. That is an experience, people. When did you last lie flat on the floor? And I will tell you that if it hasn't been for a while, you are going to be amazed how painful that is. Why? Because your body isn't used to bending like that. You've probably been stooped over. You've probably, your shoulders have changed position. You're not lying flat anymore. You're not standing solid anymore. And so now every day I get down on the floor, and before I even start those exercises, I just literally give myself permission to just lie on the floor flat. and feel the feelings, and they're not pleasant. But what I know is the reason they're not pleasant is because I've got muscles complaining because they are not used to stretching like that. That's a good thing. I'm not forcing them. I'm not doing terrible things to them. I'm just lying flat on the floor. And I know if I keep doing that every day, it's not going to be too long before I can lie flat on the floor and it's not going to hurt anymore. Now, the other thing that stunned me, and I want to talk about it because it was another high emotion for me. You know what I said about standing on the board that comes with the Wii Fit? What I found, okay, maybe you can see this. No, let me use my mouse. Okay, what I found is when you stand on the board, I realized that I was standing, I think they call it pigeon-toed, right? Where my heels were out and my toes were facing in. And the reason I knew that is because the board has lines on it. And I realized that when I stood on the board the first week, I was standing like this. And so then the second week I said, I'm going to start standing square. Did it hurt? Yes. Hurt? No. Was it uncomfortable? Yes. And so what I did is every day when I got on, I forced myself to stand square. And what I could feel was what it was doing to my hips. It was pushing my pelvis to a different position, which means that my pelvis had changed shape through not wearing shoes. That's another thing I've noticed. Not wearing shoes. After I retired, I stopped wearing shoes every day. I was walking around in bare feet a lot. Well, hello, I don't do that anymore. Why? Because I think all that has impact on the muscles you're using and not using. And so I wanted to tell you that the reason I am so impressed with what I've been doing isn't about the amount of exercise. It's got very little to do with it. It has to do with what else is happening. My shoulders are going back farther. My hips are changing position. When I stand on that board, I notice that it's much easier for me to stand square now. When I stand on the board, it also measures my center of balance. Guess what? That is almost perfect in 17 days. That is what's amazing. But I do it every day. So here's the point about this. I can keep saying that I am obese and do nothing about it. Why? I don't look that obese. I am. I don't look that obese. To me, it's like, and everybody says nice things about it. And I'm going, no, I'm obese. It's a fact. I don't want to be, my goal is to become overweight, not obese. When I get to overweight, my goal will be to be normal. But here is the thing. I've got a long way to go until I get to overweight. My goal is to be able to look sideways in the mirror. I don't know if any of you relate to this, and that my stomach does not outweigh my boobs. And do any of you relate to that? Where you look sideways and you're going, that's ridiculous. My stomach is pushing out farther than my boobs. And you remember the days when they didn't? And it's just, I am eating the wrong things and I'm not doing enough exercise to make that happen. So that is why I got the Wii, because any minute now the weather's going to get really bad and I'm going to have every reason not to go out. And I'm going, but I need to find a way to get exercise. Here's the other thing I found. When I started doing this 17 days ago, they have a basic run exercise. Well, I can't run. So I decided I'm not going to ignore the exercise. I'm just going to do the best I can, which was walk. Do you understand the difference? Don't ignore the exercise. Do what you have to do to be able to do it. So I walked it. And I found out that it thought I was pretty pathetic, and I am. And I was okay with it because that's my starting point. By the way, I noticed by week 2, I got off the basic run and went to a longer one. I struggled. I don't mind telling you, I struggled, but I did it. Then I did a week of that. And this week, I've noticed that what I'm doing is I am turning on that basic first run, and I can actually run it now. It's like a fast, what do you call it, a speed walk. But I can actually run 20 paces and speed walk 20 paces. And you understand what's happening is I am training my muscles again. I am training my muscles again. And I did not realize how much I had lost between this part of my body and my feet. Jody, what I'm going to find interesting is, I think you know I had lost some feeling in my left big toe due to the, I think the pre-diabetes thing. I have a feeling that I might be able to rebuild those connections. Hi, Herta, good to see you, Kihalaji, or Sriakal. You know, the reason I'm saying this is because what if doing this will help rebuild those nerve connections? And I have a feeling that it might. And Jody, you probably know more about it. You know, if you do enough of the right things to force your brain to connect with your nerves, you know, regularly, will it help rebuild it? My sense is it probably will, because that's what they do with people who are in rehab, right? So to me, it's just like, it'll be very interesting. It's easy for me to look at the weight and go 17 days and I haven't lost weight. So, you know, and I'm going, I don't care. When I say I don't care, I know I'm doing the right things. Yes, Jody is saying the consistency may improve the nerve conductivity. And that's what I believe, Jody. So what is my, think about this, because this is where we started today. Can you see my emotion? Which is there anything physical that you see when I'm talking about these shifts in my health? Can you see any reaction from me? Can you hear any reaction from me? Yes, Sandy is saying keeping your sugars in normal range will help as well. That's why I'm doing it. I'm wearing shoes will help as well. Why? I'm giving my body more correct support, right? And I don't mean I'm wearing shoes that have got good, what do you call it? Good cushioning for my feet, and good support at the sides. So if you can see or hear my emotion around this, what you can't see is how I feel about this. I quite honestly would have to say that I feel stunned. It's the word that comes to my mind. I had no idea how, I'm a bit fearful. I had no idea how bad my balance had become, but I also was stunned how good my basic balance was, even though I had lost a lot of power. And I also know that every day that I do it, I finish feeling I have achieved something. I don't have to beat yesterday or the day before. Why? I know I am building those muscles up. I know that this will help me stay healthier. I know this will help me stay independent. And I keep thinking back to a year ago when I moved into my house, when I had done all that damage to my Achilles and to my plantar fasciitis and everything, and I was literally hobbling. And now I look at it and I go, boy, I can walk on and off that board, both forwards and backwards and to the sides, and I can do it in rhythm. And I want to tell you, that's what is, I'd lost that rhythm ability. I couldn't get it all coordinated at the same time. And so to me, this is like, I feel really, really excited. Jeannie's saying, I'm back climbing the inside steps to the second floor. I try to do it daily without touching the banister. Good. And Jody is saying, you're a different person in less than a year. Yes, I am. No doubt about it. And what excites me is, can you imagine what I might be talking about a year from now if I continue it? By the way, I have to tell you, because this is the topic, every day I hear the voice say, you've done it for 17 days, don't worry about it today. And I'm going, no, I'm going to worry about it today. It is important to me. Sandy is saying, I'm so glad that the we has been so beneficial to you. I want to thank you, Sandy, for digging yours up, because it's really nice to be able to talk to you about it, because I know you understand what it takes to do some of these things. And so I look at it and go, how many of you understand that this is what I am doing to help myself during the pandemic? I am using these little goals to help me take the stress away from the pandemic, from the isolation, from all these things. I am doing things to occupy my mind, like baking. Well done, Jody. Like baking. By the way, I found out, Sandy, that doing certain exercises every day, I've now managed to get my steps up to 3,000 every day. All right, when it was down to under 2,000, living in a smaller space. Now I found out if I do these exercises, I can bring the steps up to 3,000. This is like, okay, fine. This is make a plan. Now, the next thing is I baked some bread this morning, and it is so funny because between the two broadcasts, I am going to take a drive down to my house and deliver some bread to my neighbor. Why? When I've got a broadcast to prepare for tonight, because it is overdue. I didn't get out of the house this week. So I am going now, even though it is going to push me a little bit, because what I realize is every day I've had a good excuse why not to do it. I'm not going to let it get to a full week before I get off my butt and get in my car and go drive it. I'm praying that my car will start. And so when you think about this, the voice in your head is so vital. Your ability to talk to the voice in your head, to shut it down. Well, there's not enough time between the two broadcasts to do this. That is insane. It takes me half an hour to drive that, half an hour to get back, 10 minutes to drop it off if she's there. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about an hour. I have, a 5-hour window between the two broadcasts. I have time if I want to do it, or I have excuses if I don't want to do it. So thank you for being here with us today. I always say that if this broadcast helped you in any way, then it was worth doing. from the broadcast today, those of you who are online with me, let me know, what was it today that you went, I needed to hear that today. Jeannie's saying, cooking helps me cope. Every day I find one thing to do that gives me hope. Good girl. Today I sent the last Christmas gift and went grocery shopping. Yes, I must admit that I am trying to stay away from the stores because we're in lockdown, but I may have to do one trip. So we'll see how I do. So to me, I look at what we do 3 days a week or 3 times a week and say, we take time to talk about our stuff. And in so doing, not only help ourselves, but hopefully help other people. And if we understand there is a difference between emotion and feeling. Jody's saying, I love the feelings versus emotions. I've been thinking more about that, and also the inconsequential memories. Yes. And Jeannie said the same thing that I do, which is grocery shopping now has become her exercise. You know, it's amazing. It's warm in there. You know, you don't have to worry about it raining. It's a great exercise place if you're careful. I recommend that you go out of regular hours. I recommend that you go either very early in the day or very late in the day. I found that if you go into a big store like a Walmart or something after 9 o'clock in the evening, you're basically one of very few people in the store. So your risk is much lighter. So thank you all for being here. I hope it has been of benefit to you. And also understand that each of us has these days and moments of imperfection. Remember Bernice's story. She went off her little train and then realized she was shooting herself in the foot and got back on it again. Now, getting back on is difficult. It takes time, but she is there. So she needs our support. And so what I'm saying is thank you to all of you who help us get back on the train, including Jody and everybody else. Sandy, thank you for your input. You know, we help each other stay on track just by talking about the imperfections. All right, and Jeannie saying, thank you for letting me talk about my experience at Dollar Tree. You understand, Jeannie, that your experience of somebody insulting you helped other people find the words that they need. That's why I'm so grateful to those of you who are part of the regular team. I thank you for sharing these things. And you're not stupid for getting upset about that, Jeannie. You're a human being and you got insulted. And that is what the young people don't understand. And as Judy says, Jeannie, thank you for sharing. So let's keep doing that because we know it helps other people. This is DearMamaSal saying, you know, I got places to be. Bye-bye. We'll see you tonight at 7 o'clock Pacific to talk about coping with life. Bye for now.